I would like to invite His Excellency Ambassador Baitian to deliver his remarks. Please, Ambassador.
Thank you, MC. Distinguished Dato' Sri Hishan Muddin, Foreign Minister of Malaysia, my brother and good friend. And also, I acknowledge the presence of the DG of Nur Hisham from the Ministry of Health, and also the ranking officials of the Wisma Putra, and many colleagues who are present here. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, well, it is a big honor for me to stand here with my great brother, Foreign Minister Hisham, to have this handover ceremony of the Chinese government's donation of the most needed medical materials and equipments for the Malaysia government. As we know that at this very moment, the COVID-19 is ravaging the world, hitting already 200 countries, bringing away lives and making tens of millions of people sick. And the situation in Malaysia is also very much worrisome. My heart saddens every day with the increase of more than 100 cases in Malaysia. As a close friend and also a good neighbor of Malaysia, China feels how Malaysia feels. Because in the last 2 months, China has also gone through a strenuous battle against the COVID-19, and we have fought our fair share of hard fights. The Chinese government and people will never forget how the Malaysian government and people have extended your helping hands to us during our darkest hours in the battle against the COVID-19. Today, as our Malaysian friends are facing the threat of this epidemic, neither will your Chinese friends hesitate even a second to rush to the help, to stand with you firmly, and to overcome this hardship together. Although China is still facing the challenges of a possible rebound of the epidemic, we wasted no time in going all out to contribute to Malaysia's fight against the COVID-19. In the past 2 weeks, according to the incomplete numbers, my embassy in Malaysia and also the Chinese companies based in Malaysia have donated various kinds of personal protective equipment to the Malaysia side, among which there are over 1 million face masks and 5,500 COVID-19 laboratory test kits and many other personal protective equipments like protection goggles, disposable coveralls. And I was so happy to organize a video conference last week. I invited the top-notch medical doctors from Shanghai city to join 40 Malaysian doctors online in the same video room to share the Chinese experiences for the diagnosis and treatment, and also the prevention and control measures against the COVID-19. The video conference turned out to be very effective in helping the Malaysian doctors and also nurses to better fight against this epidemic. Today, upon the request from Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin and Foreign Minister Dato' Sri Hishan Muddin on behalf of the Malaysian government, the Chinese government are now sending over the most needed medical materials and equipment. These medical supplies to Malaysia contain the following items: 100,000 COVID-19 laboratory test kits, 100,000 N95 face masks, 500,000 surgical face masks, 50,000 disposable coveralls, and last but not the least, 200 portable ventilators. Just now, this batch of medical supplies has arrived in Malaysia, Clear 1, by China Eastern Airlines. It is undergoing customer clearance now. Here, I'm very honored to join my good friend, my brother, Foreign Minister, Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Mudding, on this handover ceremony, officially handing over these medical materials to the Malaysia side on behalf of the Chinese government. I trust these much-needed items will waste no time in reaching the Malaysia frontliners, those medical personnel who are sacrificing their life to save their Malaysian compatriots' lives in the hospitals. These contributions from China serve as a token of friendship that we share will and woe, a token of solidarity that we are bonded by a shared destiny, and also a token of confidence and strength that China and Malaysia are fighting the same war and we are going to win the war together. In another development, here I'm very happy to announce that upon the request from the Malaysian government, the Chinese government is going to dispatch a COVID-19 medical expert team to Malaysia to assist their Malaysian colleagues by sharing Chinese doctors' valuable hands-on knowledge and experiences for diagnosis and treatment for COVID-19. These experiences are much hard gained in the last 2 months when the Chinese doctors are fighting the war in China. In a word, China will spare no effort in the future in providing material and technical support to Malaysia, as long as Malaysia needs us to do so. Just like the Malay saying goes, which I love to quote here, Buki sama tidak ki, lulu sama tidak runi. I believe that as long as China and Malaysia work together, shoulder by shoulder, side by side, there's no trench too deep to jump over. There's no mountain too high to conquer. We will for sure win this war against COVID-19 together. To conclude, on behalf of the Chinese government and people, I wish to give a shout out to you all. Stay strong, Malaysia. China will be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite YB Datuk Sri to deliver his vote of thanks for the contribution. Please, Datuk Sri.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My brother, Ambassador Bai Tian, yang saya kagumi, DG Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, Datuk Seri Nur Hisham, kepimpinan tertinggi Wisma Putra, pihak media yang sanggup bersama-sama dengan kita pada hari ini, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saudara-saudari yang berada di rumah. Today is indeed very special for Malaysia and China. Although we have been friends and our ties go back over 45 years, as the Chinese saying goes, we really truly know our friends in times of crisis. And why I say today is special for bilateral relations between Malaysia and China, because as we face very difficult times, China has once again come forward to work closely with Malaysia. In Wisma Putra, it all started with a phone call between me and my counterpart and dear friend, His Excellency Wang Yi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs for the People's Republic of China. It was followed up by a letter from me to him, seeking for closer cooperation and coordination with regards to the response to COVID-19. And in the days following that phone call and also my letter, We have had multiple donations from China, from various provincial governments, from NGOs, the business community, and individuals. And on behalf of the government and the people of Malaysia, we couldn't be more thankful, Your Excellency. To His Excellency, Mr. Bai Tian, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, I must personally thank him for going the extra mile, especially in ensuring the smooth coordination and delivery of all the donations. And today's donations, ladies and gentlemen, is really extraordinary. And I think it is worth repeating what China has contributed again today, which is 100,000 units of NCOV PCR test kits, 100,000 pieces of N95 medical protective face masks, 500,000 pieces of 3-ply surgical masks, 50,000 sets of personal protective equipment, PPE, and 200 units of ventilators. This is an extraordinary contribution by a country to Malaysia, showing the close relationship and friendship that we have with China. And as His Excellency indicated just now, more is to come with regards to closer cooperation in looking ahead with regards to this threat from coronavirus. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can only promise China that Malaysia will make full use of these items, and we will immediately hand it over to the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, and I'm sure this will definitely help our frontliners, our doctors, our nurses, who have worked tirelessly to combat this. And with friends and contribution and support like China, I'm sure this will also give them more spirit and energy to fight on. Finally, like I said, it's not just about material donations and support. China and Malaysia holds a very strong and special relationship, especially people to people. And in Malaysia right now, the Malaysian people are facing hardship. And we will do the same for China, and we have proven it in the past. And I believe that Chinese saying that even in times of crisis, there is a blessing. And the blessing with this COVID-19, as far as bilaterals between Malaysia and China, I think that it has bonded us and made us even closer together. So Bukit sama didaki, Lurah sama dituruni, 我们都是一家人.
We are one family.
Finally, I would like to say this, applaud and congratulate China for your successful efforts in combating the virus in China. I hope your efforts will continue to reduce the numbers and flatten the curve. But at the same time, please stay very close touch with us. We have very dedicated people working with us and tirelessly. And again, on behalf of my Prime Minister, the government of Malaysia, and the people of Malaysia, from the bottom of our heart, thank you so very much. 谢谢. Ada soalan tak?
Thank you, Datuk Sri. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite YB Datuk Sri Syamuddin Tun Hussein and His Excellency Ambassador Bai Tian to the front, where YB Datuk Sri will be receiving the list of contribution items.
Tak ada Q&A.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end of the ceremony. Once again, I would like to thank YB Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Tun Hussein, His Excellency Ambassador Baitian, and everyone for being here. Please stay safe. May I ask YB Datuk Sri and His Excellency Ambassador Baitian to remain for Q&A session with the media representatives. Thank you.
To all media friends, due to COVID-19, we want to avoid a long Q&A session. So only 2 questions are allowed for His Excellency Minister and 2 questions for His Excellency Ambassador. Thank you so much for all cooperation.
Okay. Any questions, guys? Yeah. Shoot.
Chinese
Shoot lah. Just ask. Yeah. It's really the people. I admire the discipline. I admire the strength, what the Chinese people have gone through, and that requires a lot of leadership and discipline. And that is something that we cannot buy with dollars and cents. We cannot persuade people just by the laws and threats of enforcement of the laws. So what we would like to acknowledge is the perseverance, the discipline, and the willpower of the Chinese people to combat this virus. In Malaysia, at the beginning of the restricted movement order, people were not taking it that seriously. But with time, and as we see today, we see Malaysians much more disciplined. But with the lockdown, we need to see in the long term, how is that going to affect Malaysians emotionally? How is it going to affect them psychologically? And how is that going to affect our economy? How is it going to affect us getting our work done? And this is something that we want to continuously learn and get the best practices from all over the world, especially from China.
Well, we are still making the plans because we want to know the actual need from the ground, from the hospitals from Malaysia, because it really requires concerted efforts of experts from different areas. For instance, infectious disease, respiratory science, even ICU cares. Well, it really depends on the request from the recipient country. We are ready to offer the best practices and knowledges, the expertise that are hardly gained in the last 2 months by the Chinese doctors and the public science experts.
Yes, sir. Well, if you specifically focus on UK and the US, I just want to state here that commercial flights are still flying in UK and the US. So my advice to Malaysians who want to come back from UK and the US to come back now. Don't wait until, if at all, there is a lockdown in these 2 countries, and then come running back to the government and to Wisma Putra to try and bring them back. As I've said earlier, there are 2 problems that we face in addressing stranded Malaysians overseas. The first is the lockdown in the host country. that can only be resolved G to G. And that can only be resolved if Wisma Putra has strong bilateral relations with these countries. And we have been very successful. And my deputy minister has been briefing the public every day, every other day, with regards to bringing back Malaysians home. The second problem, that even if we have the landing rights and we have the agreement from the governments to allow our planes to come in, we need allocation to charter planes. And the amount is not small. And that is where, in what has been announced by my deputy today at 1 o'clock, how we have managed to bring the Malaysians back from China, earlier India and Italy, and how we have now managed to get some of our Malaysians back from Maldives. These are all based from sponsors and people that have helped us without even touching any allocation from the government. Now, even just for the US, on our estimation, if we want to bring back all the Malaysians back from the US, it's going to cost us $50 million, 50 million ringgit. Now, that 50 million could be spent in buying equipment, medication for Malaysians in need here. So please understand, Malaysians who are overseas, that it's not just about allocation. One is about the respect that some of these countries have with Malaysia and willing to accommodate our request for special flights. And secondly, it's a question of allocation. And if we think of over and above, outside the box, like what we did with MIC and what we did with West Star today in Maldives. And there are some parents in India who have approached me, Wisma Putra, to say that if you can help with the landing rights, the parents are willing to come together and charter a plane to bring their loved ones back. That is the way forward. But for UK and US, let me stress, they can still come home. There are planes to take them home. Come home now if you want to come home. Don't come after there is a lockdown in these two countries, because the numbers in the US especially is huge. Like I said, the Chinese proverb, even in times of adversity and crisis, there is a blessing and an opportunity. And I see this as an opportunity for us to get together. Of course, international relations and geopolitics, especially what we go through in Wisma Putra, normally it's a zero-sum game. It's a question of pride. It's a question about fighting for pieces of stone on rocks in the middle of the sea. But when it comes to a virus that we cannot see, that's affecting all of us, we have no choice but to unite. And we can do this, firstly, bilaterally, like we're doing with China. Malaysia can do it regionally, in the context of ASEAN, and also other multilateral groups. But most importantly is for best practices to be shared by everybody in the world. It's not the monopoly of only one nation, because this is unprecedented and something that we all can learn from, and there is no place for ego, to be too proud, or to hide best practices when it comes to life and death of our peoples. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think it should be long.
The speech ke apa ke?
And for midstream, what's
Processing.
Processing. Okay.
You want to carry on?
Okay,
that?
say